Dear beloved child of God, for the past 12 hours, God has been trying to reach your heart, trying to send you a message of deep significance, a message that is sacred, urgent, and serious. This is not a typical message. It is not one to be brushed aside or ignored. It is a message that carries with it a divine weight, one that is filled with purpose and meaning. What you are about to hear may break your heart, but it will also open your soul to the healing grace of God and the deeper, abiding love of Christ. This message is about life, love, loss, and God's eternal plan for you. It holds within it a truth that, though difficult to hear, is filled with divine purpose, hope, and redemption. A person you loved deeply, someone whose soul now rests in heaven, made a final wish to God. It was a prayer, one that is about you, your future, and the path that lies ahead for you. God has been waiting for you to receive this message. Your soul, your spirit, and your life are ready for it now, even though it may be painful. This is not just a message of hope, but one that will stretch your heart and mind, challenging you to trust in God's ultimate plan for your life, even when you do not fully understand it. Imagine, if you will, the moment when someone you loved more deeply than words can express stood before God at the gates of eternity. This person, whether a parent, a sibling, a close friend, or a mentor, had one final thought, one last prayer to offer before stepping into the fullness of heaven. Their mind was not focused on their own journey, but on you, on the life you were living, on the struggles you were facing, on the burdens you were carrying. In their last moments, this person's thoughts were not of themselves. They were not concerned with their own salvation or comfort, but with yours. Their love for you was so great, so overwhelming, that even as their spirit prepared to depart this world, they were thinking of you. Even in their final breath, they were praying for your well-being, your soul, your future. This was a love that mirrored the love of Christ himself. In those last moments, as they stood at the threshold of eternity, their prayer was not about their own needs, but about yours. Their prayer, their last wish, was that God would intervene in your life in a profound way, bringing you healing, protection, and transformation. This person loved you with an unshakable love, one that could not be extinguished by death. They loved you the way Christ loves us selflessly, deeply, and eternally. As their spirit rose to meet God, their last prayer was a plea for you. It was not a prayer born of fear or worry for themselves, but a desperate wish that you would be guided, healed, and protected by God. It was a prayer that, in their absence, you would find the peace and hope they had always wished for you, and that your life would be filled with purpose and divine love. You may wonder What could have been so important to them that in their final moments they offered up such a prayer on your behalf? What could have been so urgent, so pressing, that they stood before God knowing they were about to step into eternity and made a request for you? The answer to this question lies within the love that they had for you. They saw something in your life that required God's direct intervention. Perhaps they saw the silent struggles you have been facing, the burdens you have been carrying alone, the pain you have been hiding. They knew in their heart of hearts that only God could help you, heal you, and protect you. Maybe they saw your battles with grief, your moments of despair, your confusion about the direction of your life. They knew you needed more than just a quick solution. You needed divine intervention, spiritual healing, and protection from the trials that were weighing you down. They saw your soul and knew that God's hand was the only one that could truly guide you out of the darkness you were walking through. Their final wish, their prayer, was that God would extend His mercy and grace to you, just as He had done for them. It was a prayer that you would not walk alone, that you would not face the hardships of this life without the guidance of God's love and light. Their last wish was for your salvation, your peace, your healing, and your protection. Now, here is where the message becomes difficult to hear, for God's reply to their last wish was not what anyone might have expected. God, in His infinite wisdom, replied to their prayer with a truth that is both loving and painful. His reply was not a simple solution or an immediate miracle. No, God's response was a revelation of something far deeper, a truth that reveals the nature of your journey, your growth, and the divine plan for your life. They must walk through the valley before they reach the light. This is not a response that offers immediate relief or answers to all your questions. It is not a promise that your pain will instantly be taken away, or that your struggles will be resolved overnight. Instead, it is a revelation that the path you are on, though filled with difficulty, is part of God's greater plan for your life. God's response to their prayer was not one of immediate rescue, but one of divine purpose. He was telling them and telling you that the valley you are walking through right now is not the end. It is part of the journey that leads to something greater. You may feel broken, lost, or overwhelmed right now. You may have been praying for God to take away your struggles, your pain, your unanswered questions. You may have pleaded with Him to remove the burden of grief, loss, or confusion from your heart. But God's response is not to take away the valley, but to walk through it with you. The valley, though dark and painful, is a place of transformation. It is in this place of hardship that God is shaping you, molding you, and preparing you for the life He has planned for you. The valley is where your faith is tested, where your character is refined, and where your dependence on God is strengthened. Why the valley? You may wonder, why does God allow me to go through this valley? Why am I still walking through darkness, even after the prayer of someone I loved deeply? The answer to this question lies in the nature of God's divine wisdom and love. The Bible tells us in James 1:2-4, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." God allows us to walk through the valleys of life because it is in these times that we are refined. Without the fire of hardship, we would never be able to see the fullness of God's character in our lives. The valley is not a place of punishment, but a place of growth, of building character, of learning to trust in God even when we cannot see the way forward. The valley may feel long and weary, but God is with you in the midst of it. He walks beside you, holding you up when you cannot stand on your own. The valley is not the final destination. It is simply part of the journey toward the light that God has prepared for you. God's eternal plan, a hopeful future. Though the valley may be painful and filled with uncertainty, God has promised that it is not the end. Psalm 23:4 reminds us, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." God is with you in the valley, and He will bring you through it to a place of light, healing, and restoration. This is the promise of God, that the valley you are walking through will not last forever. The pain, the struggle, the confusion will one day give way to peace, to clarity, to the fulfillment of God's plan for your life. Your journey, though difficult, is part of a greater story, a story that God is writing with your life. He has not abandoned you, and He never will. His love for you is deeper than you can imagine, and His plan for you is far greater than anything you can see right now. A message of hope, so, though this message may break your heart for a moment, know this: God's love for you is greater than any valley. His grace is greater than any pain. The valley you are walking through right now is part of your transformation. It is not the end of the story, but the beginning of something beautiful. The person who loved you dearly, whose soul now rests in heaven, made their final wish for you out of love. They knew that God would use the valleys of your life to shape you, to mold you, and to bring you to a place of healing, peace, and divine purpose. Trust in God's plan for your life. Though the path may be difficult, you are never alone. God is with you, and one day you will look back at this valley and see how it was the place where your faith grew, where your soul was refined, and where you were transformed into the person God always intended you to be. Hold on to this truth. The valley will not last forever. God's light is coming, and His grace will carry you through. With all the love and grace of Christ. Amen.